So, the movie begins with John and Karen, a married couple who don't get along at all. They even have dinner in separate rooms. They just watch TV together. Today, while watching TV, they learn about a strange virus spreading rapidly around the world. John claims it's a pharmaceutical company's misinformation. They're the reason people are getting sick, calling it a pandemic. Karen finds John's words nonsense and ignores them. Angered, John leaves. Karen remembers she had something important to discuss with him. She decides to discuss it in the morning. John wakes up in the morning and gets ready for work when he sees a large hole in the bathroom. What's going on? He quickly runs out of the apartment to check on the situation, leaving Karen screaming back, "I needed to talk to you." He then discovers that a plane crashed into their building the night before, unbeknownst to them. Nearby apartments were largely burned, but their apartment was safe for now. Then, he receives another shocking piece of news: the virus they'd heard about the night before was spreading rapidly. The safest option was to stay indoors. He goes upstairs and tells Karen everything. At first, Karen doesn't believe him, but then suddenly, sirens start blaring. Karen and John go to the window and look. Indeed, they see infected people outside now turning into zombies. These zombies are attacking humans to satisfy their hunger. They quickly turn on the TV and put on the news, where they are told and informed about the virus and the zombies. Everyone was being told that if they wanted to stay safe, they had to stay indoors. Karen immediately got up, went to the kitchen, and checked how much food they had. They didn't even have enough food to survive in this house for 1 or 2 days. John's anxiety grew so intense that he started vomiting from the tension. When she returned, Karen relaxed him and explained that they had to be brave. "Look, we'll go to the neighboring houses and steal food from them." John looked at Karen strangely, so Karen told him, "Yeah, what's wrong with that? Look, the whole city is closed. No police are coming here. Many people have even left their apartments, and stealing for survival isn't theft." After much persuasion, she sent John to collect things from other houses, telling him, "You go once, I'll go next time." John agrees and leaves, returning shortly after with a large supply of food. Karen was surprised, and John explained that there was no one in the apartment directly across from theirs. The apartment was also open, so he easily grabbed everything. Now Karen had to go out. Karen was a little timid, but she didn't want to make a show of John. She wears a helmet and tapes knives to her shoes and wrists so that if any zombies come her way, she can fight them off effectively. This time, Karen also stole a large amount of things. And just like she had protected herself, she prepares John and tells him to go and take down the large LCD screen next door. Both of them loved watching TV. They install their neighbors' TVs in their homes, and when they sit down to watch, they discover that this was the last news broadcast of the day. After this, there will be no news on the news channel because they will also be blocked in their homes for safety. However, the current situation will continue to be reported on the radio. Before the broadcast ends, everyone is warned to stay home and avoid physical contact with anyone, as this increases the risk of the zombie virus spreading. Shortly after, an announcement is made on the streets, urging all remaining survivors to draw a cross on their windows so they can be rescued. Karen and John also draw a large X on their window with foreign tape. However, despite helicopters passing close to their house twice, they fail to notice them. This disappoints both of them, and John falls back asleep in grief. When he wakes up in the morning, he finds that Carol has packed a lot of stuff into her house. So much stuff, so much so. There was also something they didn't need for survival, like a lot of expensive clothes and other things that Karen had stolen from the neighbor next door. John already hated stealing. He told Karen that they would return all the things once the pandemic was over. Some time passed, and they began hearing the sound of zombies coming from inside their building. They both became extremely frightened. First, they locked all the windows and doors in their house. When their anxiety persisted, they began gathering whatever tools they had in their house to protect themselves from the zombies. They placed all kinds of scissors, knives, and hammers on a table. John also taught Karen how to use a simple lighter and spray gun as a fire gun to protect herself. While Karen teaches John how common objects lying around, like the floor, can be used to temporarily blind someone if thrown in their face. After making all their preparations, the two begin playing cards to pass the time. Just then, they hear a government message on the radio, informing them that the pandemic has spread to only a few parts of the world. The government and military are working to contain the situation quickly, ensuring that electricity and water supplies are not cut off. Everyone is being told to stay indoors. Those stranded in areas affected by the pandemic should mark an X outside their homes to ensure they can be rescued. They had done this long ago, but no one had come to rescue them yet. This was something that deeply saddened Karen. But John displays positivity and explains that this pandemic is only a matter of days. Many such pandemics have come and gone in the world. People die, but humanity still survives. In other words, some people always survive. Even in such a difficult time, John's positive words only anger Karen. Depressed by this, Karen starts drinking alcohol, and John scolds her, asking who drinks so early in the morning. As he says this, Karen explodes, saying, "It's been so many years since we've been together. For the past several months, I've been drinking in the morning, and you're finding out today." John also realized his mistake. To encourage Karen, he went to her, and Karen led him to the storage room, where everything was filled with their daughter's belongings. John understood that Karen was depressed about her daughter. Her daughter had died at birth, and something had happened at that time that had prevented Karen from becoming a mother. This depression was eating her up inside. Because of her depression, she was talking more negatively. She told John, "As bad as I am, I know we'll die too." But John reassured her, "Nothing will happen to us. We both have each other to take care of each other." They decided to train themselves so that if they were attacked by zombies, they would be ready to fight them. They began spending a lot of time each day exercising, strengthening their bodies, and practicing their fighting skills. This new ambition kept them quite busy. One day, while exercising, they heard a knock on their door. They were overjoyed, thinking it was a rescue team. But when they opened the door, they discovered it was zombies trying to break into their house. Karen immediately tries to force the door shut, and John pushes the zombies out. After about 5 minutes of effort, they secure their home again. For a long time, they were in disbelief at what had happened. They returned to another room, where they learned on the radio that scientists were trying to find a vaccine that would be administered to all survivors to prevent the zombie virus from attacking them. Despite all this, Karen and John's suffering remained unabated. They even smoked cigarettes to calm their anxiety. But when cigarettes didn't help, Karen brought him a drug she had stolen from her neighbor's house. John scolded her, but in his frustration, he eventually took it. One morning, Karen woke up to the sound of a gunshot. John, while practicing shooting a gun, broke a vase his mother had given him. This angered him immensely. After his outburst, Cannon went to take a shower and saw rescue helicopters fly directly over their building, not even stopping on their street to rescue survivors. The zombies' noise was increasing day by day, making them increasingly stressed. They even resorted to drugs to ease their tension. But then one day, John said, "This won't work. We need to continue our training." They took out a punching bag and practiced hitting people with it. They also dropped broken jars outside their apartment to prevent zombies from entering. They also crafted mini-bombs from alcohol bottles, which would explode if ignited. They had done all this to prepare for the worst, and suddenly, the worst came when a knock came at their door. They had no option but to open the door because if it were a rescue team, they would have left them, and if it were zombies, they would have killed them. Well, fully prepared for the attack, they opened the door slightly and discovered their neighbors standing there. John called them inside his house, and they explained that the plane had crashed in their building. To escape, they retreated to the bedroom, where they remained trapped for several days. They somehow managed to break through the upper floor of the bedroom and found that their entire apartment had been taken over by zombies. With nowhere else to live, they left their apartment. However, many other apartments in the building were vacant. But they didn't feel comfortable staying there, and when they saw the glass outside John's house, they realized John and Karen were inside. They decided to come here because if people stayed together, they would take care of each other and be more likely to stay out of danger. They hadn't eaten in days. That's why John brought them food. Karen scolded John from behind, What trouble have you gotten yourself into? We stored this food for ourselves, not to share it like this. John explained to her. Karen, helping someone is a good thing. When the couple who had come to their house looked around, the wife told her husband, I think this TV and those dresses came from our house. The lady also questioned Karen about these things, suspecting that Karen and her husband had stolen them. But Karen refused to believe it. The truth was, she had stolen them. After these words, Karen felt like throwing them out of the house. But she couldn't do that without John's consent. So she decided to compromise, saying, You can stay at our house. We'll provide food, but you'll have to do all the housework. They spent the evening chatting. When night fell, they asked, Where do we sleep? Karen replied, Right here in the lounge on the mattress? Hearing this, Karen began to belittle Karen. You only have one room in your house? Our apartment is much larger, with many rooms. Karen was fed up with her talk. Angrily, she told John, This woman is hurting us, and on top of that, she's insulting us. If it were up to me, I'd throw her out of the house. But then she wondered, what will everyone else think of us when the pandemic is over? That we didn't even help them. Now, to tease her neighbor, Karen starts making noise with John at night, and her neighbor thinks it's a competition. Even though Emily was living in Karen's house, she still teases Karen as if she were living in theirs. In the morning, she spends a lot of time in the bathroom, making unnecessary advances so that Karen has to wait outside and realizes there's only one bathroom in her house. After dinner, Lee asks the couple to clean up, and after they're done, she tells them, We're guests in your house. Not servants. We did all the work today, but from tomorrow it'll be split. Karen also Tansha laughed and nodded, went to prepare dinner, and mixed it with the same drug she'd stolen from their house. Drugs cause these people to eat and eat without thinking. Such drugs can also cause overdoses, and they fall asleep within a short time. When they didn't wake up the next morning, Karen panicked. When she checked, she discovered they had died from a drug overdose. She didn't want people to blame them for the murders, so she decided to throw their bodies out of the house. While they were discussing things, Emily and her husband came back to life, but this time they were zombies. To save themselves, Karen quickly grabbed a gun and shot them. Then they threw them out of their house and cleaned up. But after what they had done, it was very difficult for them to sleep. Both use sleeping pills to fall asleep, and they fall into a deep sleep that they don't even realize. Outside, soldiers keep announcing that any survivors inside the building should turn on their lights so they can be rescued. When they wake up in the morning, they realize that spending so many days together has brought them back to the same closeness they once were. They've realized each other's worth. Just like yesterday, they helped each other out and overcome the situation. They're both falling deeply in love. They spend a lot of time together, and Karen even reverses her decision to divorce. She tells John that once the pandemic is over, they will definitely adopt a baby. Now that their relationship is beginning again, John decorates their home beautifully and prepares for a candlelit dinner to celebrate. They had spent the evening together quite happily. Just as they were about to get close to each other, they heard a knock on the door. Both were terrified. Bracing themselves, they went to the door only to discover that the military had arrived. Undeterred, they opened the door to rescue them. But they discovered they were thugs. Pretending to be in the military, they had gotten the door opened and were about to burst in. Their leader arrived, first slapping John and knocking him down, and then grabbing Karen by the hair. He ordered his men to gather food and other essentials and then took Karen into the room. Just as he was about to get close to Karen, Karen kicked him hard, then grabbed him, pinning him down and began scissor-stamping his neck. After all those days of training had paid off. Hearing these noises, the two men rush inside to check on their leader. Seeing that their leader is dead, they both rush towards Karen to kill her. But before they can harm her, John arrives with a gun and shoots them both dead. Afterward, they throw the 3 dead bodies out of their apartment and begin drinking in the privacy of their apartment. Shortly after, they hear the sound of rescue helicopters. Without thinking, they rush to the windows and knock loudly, trying to attract the military officers. However, their voices are impossible to reach the helicopters. They decide to leave the apartment. However, upon opening their apartment, the corridor is filled with zombies. The zombies try to enter their house, and they are forced to close their doors, fighting them off. But during all this, they noticed that a lot of zombie blood had fallen on John, which also contained the zombie virus, and now the rescue helicopters had also gone. Karen was getting panicky because they had nothing left to eat or drink. John promises her that it is my responsibility to take care of you and I will arrange for food. In the middle of the night, Karen wakes up due to some noise. She sees John sitting outside sharpening some wooden sticks. He also had some things with him. When Karen asks him, "What are you doing?" he says that "I am going out to get food for you." Karen says, "No, not alone. This problem is for both of us, and we will fight together." Saying this, she gets ready, and they both go out. They did go out, but they encountered a lot of zombies. Fighting them had weakened them, so they returned home empty-handed. Karen was shocked as soon as they arrived, because during the entire fight, a zombie had bitten her leg. She was terrified that she would become a zombie. But John consoled her, saying that nothing like that would happen. The zombie virus doesn't spread so quickly in the body. Anyway, scientists have now developed a vaccine. I will get it for you before anything happens to you. Karen relaxes for the time being, but things start to get quite weird for her. She no longer enjoys wine. At night, she wakes up with strange dietary habits and starts walking in her sleep. In the morning, she decides to leave the apartment, but John stops her. Karen tells him the truth. "I'm feeling a strange hunger. Food isn't satisfying it, and I don't want to stay inside anymore." John stops her and goes into the kitchen. He cuts his hand, collects his blood in a glass, and places it in front of Karen. The smell of it drives Karen crazy and she immediately drinks it all. She felt good drinking it, but she tells John, "You'll hurt yourself any number of times to satisfy my hunger." John says, "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this willingly because I want to be with you, and I hope someone will come to our aid." After all this conversation, John realizes he's been very erratic. So he hugs Karen and apologizes, and Karen tells him, "Go ahead, bandage your wound. The smell of blood inside me is making me hungry." A little while later, when Karen goes to take a bath, she thinks of killing herself. But then John comes back with his blood. They spend the entire night together, and in the morning, when John wakes up, Karen is gone. He goes to the bathroom to check, but all he finds is a note. Karen is thanking him for giving her a wonderful life. In the letter, she explains, "I'm having nightmares, turning into a zombie. I don't want you to be a victim of this. That's why I've locked myself in the nursery." Wasting no time, John goes inside the nursery and finds Karen completely transformed into a zombie. She's wearing a piece of paper with the words, "Love me or kill me." John is at a loss. He drinks, then gets a gun and tries to kill Karen. Just then, there's knocking on the door. The military has arrived. This means that people had finally come to rescue them. And when they reached the nursery room after checking the entire apartment, it was revealed that both of them had become zombies. John had not been able to kill Karen. Instead, he had made his life similar to Karen's, so that whatever happened would happen to them together. Here, the military personnel were ordered to kill infected people on sight and only rescue humans. These two were killed on sight, and the movie ends with just their lives. Thanks for watching, hope you liked it.